The point I want to make is, it would appear to me that since independence, we as Namibians have been preoccupied with other things and not writing about ourselves. When I first saw a movie that a friend took to me in Pretoria, made by George Aikali. What was that movie? My son lost, what is it? My other son.
My father's son.
My father's son. I was mesmerized. I said, oh, there are movies made in Namibia. How many Namibians know about that? In other words, my friend, this is very serious. What we know about America that frightens us in our dreams comes from Hollywood. They have penetrated our minds to believe that they're the most powerful. Maybe they are, but they found a genre, they found an instrument to tell their story. We need to focus on the positive things that Namibia has accomplished. I say this very mindfully. We are very, very preoccupied with the negativity. It's fine, we know there are challenges. But no nation can develop by writing only about the negative things. We need to write about positive things. For instance, it's not in the curriculum in our schools that Namibia was the first country on the African continent to write its own authentic constitution. It has loopholes and shortcomings, yes, but it was an exercise of Namibians, by Namibians, for Namibians. It's very important. In 2012, November, something very remarkable happened at Safari Hotel. It was about 3 o'clock in the morning, and that was the election of Ade Godfrey Kengo as the new vice president of SWAPO, and therefore, by extension, the next president of SWAPO and the next head of state. The point is, more than 85% of the people in that room were Ovambos and Kavangos that reached beyond the sizes of their noses and said, let's look for the most competent Namibian to take us forward. Have we worked with that? We have not worked with that wisdom. In the absence of writing what that meant, we are reverting back to the primordial instinctive motive of tribalism. I hiked to Okahanja on Tuesday. There were other people in the minibus. The young man I was sitting next to had first question to me, what is your tribe? A young fellow. No, what is your tribe? You look different. Where is that coming from? It was not like that in the 1990s. It was not like that even 10 years ago. Because we failed to write what makes us unique in Africa, we are going back to tribe. Second, we had a war that went on for more than 25 years. Yet we came out of that war and started the nation with relative peace, relative stability. We have not worked with that. Thirdly, you have to give SWAPO the credit. After independence, there was great clamor for a Truth and Reconciliation Commission. You remember, many of us were making noises. We must investigate. These people must come out. And I remember it was Hidiko Hamtenya, who was the Minister of Information, who said, no, we cannot do that. We had a war. And when you come out of a war, nobody's hands are clean. And Hitipo argued, if we start to investigate, we are in power now, we will hide our errors and we will be excited about the mistakes of other people. We did not understand the wisdom of that. When you compare what Namibia has achieved after independence and what South Africa has achieved, you cannot not feel humble to be Namibian. The TRC in South Africa produced more problems than solutions. It's human nature that if I lost my father and somebody tells me, yeah, I shot your father in the eye, and the government forgives that person, and I run in to that person in Marua Mall, I'll make a plan. And that is what eating away at South Africa's peace and stability. It was almost a Christian doctrine for SWAPO to say, let's move beyond our pain. Let's forgive and forget. Reconciliation. We have not worked with that. As a result of that wisdom and its effect, my friends, Namibia has the best race relations on the African continent right now. Better than where you have the race configuration that we have, black and white. In South Africa, it's fireworks. Never mind Zimbabwe. But we don't work with that to recreate Namibia in our own image. If we did it right, I'm convinced, totally convinced, that Namibia could become the model nation on the African continent, where race and tribe does not matter, but the competency, the merit that a person brings to the table. We could be the one country in Africa that's neither black nor white, but both. We're not working with that. There are many more accomplishments that we have that we need to talk about as Namibians. We start with the positive, and when we are critical, we do it with discipline and grace. We do it with love. We will never be able to say thank you enough to those who brought us where we are today. In other words, lastly, we need to develop a new vocabulary to speak about ourselves, even when we disagree. And it's very humbling to have these young filmmakers, young writers in Namibia defining our new reality. Now, what my little group is intending to do is to create a robust atmosphere of conversation, a common place where we can all speak about our stories without fear and favor, but with respect to the other person. In other words, where my rights stop, the other person's rights begin. You cannot have democracy based only on rights. You also have obligations. We can do it here. We want to create not a university, but a multiversity of ideas, where we as Namibians can shine as an example in Africa that is burning because of race, tribe, poverty, and recklessness of our leaders. So we have tonight my esteemed nephew, Joel Kaudife Aikali, a lone ranger in more ways than one, trying to depict who we are as Namibians, bringing all the races together. I remember in that movie that I saw, there is an episode, there is a colored lady who goes to Bamboland. Now she doesn't know how things work there. She doesn't know how to use the bush for personal purposes.
What bush is
And she's very reckless. So the boyfriend or the husband says, well, you must be careful how to do things here, because you look white. She look, but I'm not white. And then she's told, here, anything that's not black is white. So we have a great story as Namibians. My young brother here, Igishi Wameni, You know, people have forgotten about his contributions to NASA and what he went through, because we are not good at acknowledging what other people are doing. Before I stop, I want to embarrass an old friend who just walked in here. Query, please stand up. You know that man? You know that man? His name is Query Manuel Chipanganjara. He's a road doctor. The reason that Query is very important in my storytelling is very deep. When I arrived at Columbia University in New York, I knew nobody. And I was told there is a Namibian. So we found each other. So he was my anchor to find my way around New York. And I never understood him. He was a scientist. He was doing his doctorate in sciences. I've never met anyone in my life, never mind a black person, studying sciences. And I would go to the lab to watch Query. I thought he was losing his mind. Query would sit at his desk to watch drops coming out of a little tube. He'd wait like 25 minutes and the drop comes to leak, right? And if you talk to him, he would be annoyed because you were distracting him from what he was doing. The importance of that is that I did not know that Query was Herero. I only knew he was Namibian. Then he introduced me to other people in New York. We had absolutely, and I repeat that, absolutely no consciousness of tribe. We're just Namibian young people. We have not worked with that depth of our identity beyond tribe. Now we are going back to, are you white? Are you black? Are you colored? Were you in exile? Did you kill somebody? Did you die? If you're dead, you can get a tender. We can move beyond race, and I really, really mean this seriously. Race will not take us anywhere. Tribe will not take us anywhere. Therefore, it is the artists who can help us retell our story. Leonard Bernstein, who was a Jew talking to other Jewish people on their way to the promised land, said to them, it is the artists of the world, the thinkers of the world who will ultimately save us. Those who articulate, educate, defy, insist, ask questions, and have big dreams. These are the people that we have in this room. You are dreamers, my friends. Take yourself seriously. Let me ask my nephew to say some things about the art of filmmaking. But before he speaks, I need to tell you that our friend Barack Hussein Obama would not have won the presidency of the United States if it was not for Hollywood. It's Hollywood that prepared the American psyche that a black person can become president. In 1995, Hollywood produced a movie called Deep Impact. The world is angry, the universe is upset, water, rain, snow falling in people's homes and hospitals, calamity. And in the White House is Morgan Freeman as the president of the United States. And he dictates the solution that saved the nation. With that, the mind is awakened. Oh, black people can also solve problems. In 2003, Hollywood produced another movie called Head of State. Chris Rock runs for president and actually wins. So when Obama came, they were already used to seeing a black person winning an election.